Hello. Hello and welcome to another session of IOSH Singapore branch webinar. It will be a 1 hour session. Before we start, some housekeeping, please remember that this webinar is being recorded. So if you are uncomfortable with this, please turn your camera off or feel free to less the session. At the end of the session, we will be having photo taking session with presenter, Dr. Sangeeta. So please stay till the end. Any question that you have during the presentation, please make use of the chat function and we will address the questions at the end of presentation. Finally, a reminder, your mic will be muted throughout the session. Thank you for joining us. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Sangeeta today to share psychological hazard at the workplace. So Dr. Sangeeta Kaur, founder and CEO of Emerging Journey Asia, armed with more than 20 years of experience in training and human capital development in both private and public sectors. She is an inspirational speaker and conducts engaging workshops, seminars nationwide. She sits on the panel of industry experts for Human Resource Development Corporation and Asia Pacific University. Dr. Sangeeta is a founder or Yasan Health of on World, an NGO that focuses on mental, emotional, and physical well-being. She is an ardent advocate of mental health, hence birthed the first mental health experimental conference in Malaysia. Adding to her stripes of success, Dr. Sangeeta has recently founded Remia.com, an online platform addressing physical and mental well-being. So without further delay, please join me in welcoming Dr. Sangeeta. Over to you, Dr. Sangeeta.
Thanks, Narinder. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And, if it's okay, if you can, on your video, I really appreciate it so that, it doesn't bring any cycle, it doesn't give me any stress or tension just looking at my face and all the beautiful names. Okay. So it really helps if you can on your video, if it's, if it doesn't like, yeah. So, with all this gadget nowadays, and I don't know who am I talking to, there's no picture, there's no image, it can give me some stress, which also relate to IOSH. All right, so thank you so much to IOSH Singapore and, to Moshpa for allowing me to present today a topic that I really like when we talk about, psychological hazard when it comes to mental and emotional well-being. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Narinder. Okay, so before I start, so I have a question for all of you. Yeah. What do you understand or what do you know about psychological hazard? You can unmute, you can just raise your hand or use the reaction, and then, we can have this interactive conversation. Yes, Royston? Or you can even chat. What is your understanding when we talk about psychological hazard? What do you know? Yeah. Anyone? There's no right or wrong answer, yeah? It's just that to understand whether we are all on the same page or how am I going to address this? You have a shy audience, Narinder.
Most of the time, the audience will be muted. So we have to check with the MLE, like if she can unmute or they have the option of unmuting.
No, I've given them the option to unmute. So
okay,
if you look at the chat, they're starting to state some answers here.
Yeah, stress at work, burnout, mentality stress, hazard at workplace that affect employees' mental health, okay, is when people bottle their feeling and not expressing. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Looking at, those in the chat box, you are right. When we talk about psychological hazard, it's...
Hey, so sorry, can you hear me? Royston, I'm Royston here.
Yes, Royston,
hear
I
me?
can hear.
Hey,
Yes.
so sorry because I think my Bluetooth having issue, having problem. Okay, but I just I think probably I just want to express this. Is that I think beside the mental itself, right? I think probably we see in certain places like in certain countries like Japan, right? I think probably we have no actually that past few months ago they having actually a huge murder in the train system or this. So I think actually that it could be because in especially in that kind of situation when people don't express themselves, right? They feel burnt out and basically they just do crazy stuff in the public. I think probably in China, I think what we see now, there's this thing called tanping, something like this. Is that basically people literally lying flat, not doing anything, rot around. I mean, probably you have seen this in China. I think some articles in the China News Asia. So this is what actually happened in China. China is currently facing. I believe that Singapore, if I'm not wrong, Singapore currently we are still considered we are still managing. I think should be quite okay. But if we don't really manage well, I think probably we will also see this sort of situation happening as well.
Yeah. So like what you mentioned, and those of you who type on the chat box, right? When it comes to psychological or psychosocial hazard at workplace, it's all related to you yourself first. Yeah. We need to address that when it comes to mental and emotional, which is part of the whole psychological, right? Is that it begins from ourselves and then how we relate that to others. Okay. So what I want to address here is, right, we cannot break ourselves into two parts. That means when you are at home, you don't bring your work problem back, or when you are at work, you don't bring your home problem, right? Because we are a whole individual, we are holistic. And research shows that, okay, in our mind, every day we have 60,000 thoughts. That's a lot of thoughts, yeah? Okay, 60,000 thoughts every day. And 80 to 85% is repeated negative thoughts. All right. So again, 80 to 85% is repeated negative thoughts. So imagine you want to feel good. You want to feel that, joy or happy. Suddenly you get attracted to all those negativity, and then down goes your emotion, down goes, the way you want to think in a different way. Okay. So when we talk about hazard at workplace, psychological hazard at workplace, so these are the factors in the design, okay, maybe the policies, okay, or sometimes the equipment, or the management, the people around you, okay, that may or might increase the risk of work-related stress, which will cause psychological hazard at work. All right. And how does this affect us? Many different factors, many different ways, which I'm going to share shortly. Okay. And from the chat also, we can see that hazard at workplace affect employees' mental health. Yes. And not to forget, it will also affect employer. It works both ways. Okay. Because most of the time when employee look at it, they look from the perspective of employee as a staff, right? And when there's anything that's affecting the employee, there are certain percentage that will affect the employer. So we need to address this. And that is why conversation, have a courageous conversation, is very important and meaningful. If you have that kind of conversation, where you put in the trust, you put in the respect, and you are able to voice out your opinion without being judged. All right. Okay. And I'm gonna share my slide. Yeah. Please feel free to ask questions along the way. Please feel free if you need to just to share something at your workplace, feel free to share. Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about psychological workplace, some facts. So we all know that, okay, These statistics are Malaysian statistics, okay? From the injuries by gender, if you look at it, male more than female, okay? Why is it? So there's a lot of factors contributing, but when it comes to mental and emotional, okay, when I talk about psychological, I will go back again to mental and emotional. Why is this? Okay, if you look at it, the way men, the way they cope, their coping mechanism, it's different from women, okay? Because men normally, if they want to solve any issues or they want to go and get things done, they look into a fast solution focused coping, whether it's a good coping mechanism or a bad coping mechanism, right? So it can be a contributing factor where when we talk about injuries, when we talk about, fatal injuries, it relates to that. Okay, I'm not saying it's 100%, but it can be a contributing factor. All right. So when we talk about how men process information and how women process information is different. Okay. So I go back to coping mechanism. When we talk about coping mechanism, for men, the fast way is maybe, they will look at it from the perspective of drinking, from the perspective of gambling, from the perspective of, taking drugs, because men has been programmed from very young not to express their emotion. Okay. And when they are not able to express their emotion, all right, what do? They put it in, they pile it up because they are not allowed to cry. Cry shows weakness for men, right? Even mothers, if your son cry, you will say what? Stop crying, don't be like a girl. So that is why the way men cope when it comes to any psychological, mental, emotional stress, they will suppress it. Suppress it by doing negative coping mechanism, whereby women, they are able to express more freely, they are able to cry, they're able to scream, shout, or whatever that they want to do, because that is how they relieve it. Okay, so this is why we need to understand that it all starts from within. Okay, and we cannot say sometimes it's 100% at workplace, because from the day we were conceived until who we are today, we have gone through a lot of fear. We have gone through a lot of guilt. We have gone through a lot of failure. We have gone through a lot of challenges, changes in our life, that sometimes we make believe that whatever that is past is your present. Okay, so we need to address this. Okay, is it clear so far? All good? Can I have the reaction that if it's good, thumbs up, please? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the interaction. I know I'm not alone here. Okay. So, and if you look at the numbers of occupational type of accidents, right? Fall, okay, overexertion, okay, exposure or contact to harmful substance. All these does relate to psychological. You don't see it now, but you will see it later in the future. Okay, and another cause of accidents that contribute, will be your working environment. Okay, are you prepared to work in this environment? That's important. When we talk about environment, not only under the sun, with the rain, with the cold, just being stagnant, managing, handling equipment. Not only that, because all that are different factors. But the most important thing that we need to address is people. And we need to acknowledge everyone is different. Okay, so when you acknowledge people, everyone diverse, everyone is different, and everyone have their own story, you will reduce the gap, or you will reduce the risk of psychological hazard at work. Okay, because it all starts from socializing with people. It all starts from communicating with people. So you need to look at that. Okay, another thing, if you look at it, is the policies in organization. Yes, we know that. Okay, we know that the general duties of employer or self-employed is to ensure the safety and health and welfare of the employee at all times. Okay, that means you must provide training, you must provide information, instruction, supervision, and so many different, ways for your employee. And for your employees, is for them to take care of themselves first. Because if you come to office, or when you do your duty, but you don't have a peace of mind, it will affect your performance. All right. If you have conflicts within you, it will affect your communication with others. It will also create conflict with others, and your productivity will go down. Okay. Use proper protective gear. Okay. If you work in the cement factory, if you don't wear a mask, that is not good. If you work in the chemical, if you don't wear proper gear, it will affect you. All right. And it's also for the employee to make sure not only the physical part needs to be addressed, but the emotional and mental well-being need to be addressed. Okay. I like to go back to this slide. Yeah. These are the stats in Malaysia. All right. If you look at numbers of employees in Malaysia with moderate to severe symptoms of depression, yeah. 18 to 30 years old, I'm taking numbers above 10%, 18 to 30 years old, employees display these symptoms. When we talk about, symptoms of depression, it can be many different symptoms. It can be different for everyone. Okay, it doesn't need to be same. Okay, for example, you feel tired, you isolate yourself, you feel, you don't feel the sense of belonging, you don't feel that, you are needed, and some of you might just cry, you get tired for no reason, and some of you might develop diabetic, because there's a correlation. Someone who have depression correlates with diabetic. All right. And poor quality of sleep, again, 18 to 40 years old. I'm taking percentage, which is 10% and above. 18 to 40% of employees, that is more than 80% of employees in Malaysia, have trouble sleeping. And imagine if you have poor quality of sleep, and the next day you have to travel, or you need to manage equipment, or you need to attend meeting, it will affect your cognition. Okay, it will affect how you process information. It will affect how you interact with others. And this is alarming, because one of the factors that contribute to poor quality of sleep is gadget. People are hooked with their gadget. Okay, people are obsessed with their gadget now, with everything online. Okay, I'm not saying online, internet, digital is not good. It's good, but people use it the wrong way. Right? Imagine now you have Netflix, you can watch series over and over again. And last time we have to wait for a week to watch a series, right? The episode. But now you can just watch all the episode back to back. Okay? You are so consumed about, afraid of missing out of information. Okay. All this relates to poor quality of sleep. If you're tired, sometimes people feel that when they are tired, they can sleep well. No, because your body is tired, but your mind is overactive. And this is part of the hazard at workplace. Imagine you don't have good quality of sleep, you cannot have good communication. You don't feel happy, you don't feel joyful, you drag yourself to work. And if you need to handle heavy equipment, what will happen? All right. And if you look at it, 1 out of 10 Malaysian employees are anxious or depressed, and most of them millennials. So there's a shift in trend. Okay, I'd like to share this story. Yeah, my statistics are all from DOSH, right? Department of Occupational Safety and Health Malaysia. Okay, so I like to share this story. I like to share stories so that people can relate. Okay, I have clients coming to me saying that, they feel stressed at work. All right, so I just want to let you know, stress is a good thing. Yeah, you need to have stress to motivate you. Stress will make you achieve your objective, your goal. All right, so there's good stress and bad stress. All right, so all of us need stress, and I also would like to address this. Mental health comes down through genetics. Okay, just like diabetic, just like hypertension, cancer, even mental illness comes down through your genetic. All right. So this client come up to me and say that, I find it so difficult to focus, and my boss is always overloading me with work because she says I'm not performing, and therefore, I don't feel good going to work every day. So I start to ask her questions and ask what's her behavior at work and what's her behavior at home. Because, issues, problems don't just come overnight. There's a story behind it. All right. Then we got to know that the more she shared, every time during her break time, okay, she have her lunch break, and then she have her tea breaks, all her breaks. During her break time, she consumed a lot of social media. Okay, specifically, she used a lot of Facebook. And this Facebook, she is now at the low point in her life. And when her friends start posting about their life, going holiday, buying luxury stuff, she felt the pressure. Okay. And when she start reading that, it affects, when she go back to her work, it affects her work. Because remember, 60,000 thoughts playing in your mind. So when you start doing your work, your mind is still hooked on what you've just read in social media. Why I have to do this work? Why can't I go holiday with my friends? Why I have lived in this miserable office? And they start to consume her mind every time. It's negative self-talk, negative self-talk. So who to be blamed? Is it the employer or the employee? So we always need to understand, we always need to know that it's here and now moment. You need to understand that I need to do my work. And because she doesn't concentrate at her work, okay, it's piled up. And procrastination. All right. So there's a lot of factors that contribute, but we often tai chi back. We often push it back and put the blame to others. So you need to understand this, yeah? Okay. Any questions so far? All good? Can I see a thumbs up? Anyone? Okay. All right. Okay. Let me just share my slide again. Really appreciate your interaction. Okay, so research, okay, the future by 2030, mental health crisis will cost the world 16 trillion. These numbers are before COVID-19. Okay, so after COVID-19, I think, okay, my personal opinion, it will increase. All right, and if you look at these statistics, okay, by a research, okay, look at the blue one. Okay, stress, unhappy, and even unsafe at work. 38% of people, employees, suffers from excessive pressure on the job. 24% are actively disengaged at work. Okay, 2.3 million annual work-related deaths, and 313 million annual work-related accidents. And this number is huge. Okay, we cannot deny there are factors coming from the default of, in policy. There's faults in machinery, right? But those factors we cannot control. And we always put a lot of pressure when it is something that we cannot control. So what can we control? What can we control? Can you guys share? What can we control? Hello? Response
We can
towards,
control our routines.
we can control our routines. Yes. Yes. We can control our thoughts, right? Our mind, our emotion, our words, our action, our behavior. Yes, this is something that we can control, but we cannot control others. We cannot control our boss. We cannot control the machine. I mean, yes, the machine you can off and on, and it will just go on. But if there's a fault in the machine, it's out of your control. If it's wear and tear, it's out of your control, right? So that is why I emphasize it again and again. It all starts from you. It's within you. All right. So when you start to look at it from a different perspective, you will understand that you have a lot of control in yourself, which will help reduce your psychological hazard at workplace. All right. So I'm not going to go into hazard. Okay. We have gone through this. All right. So when we talk about hazard, there's 4 types. Okay. We have human, equipment, material, and environment. All right. And if you look at it, okay. Okay. When we talk about psychosocial hazard, okay, at workplace, okay, and the people, the equipment, which will lead to psychological or physical harm. Okay, as I mentioned, it's how you were given a task, how the job is being designed or organized. All right, what are the equipment are you using? Another part of social or psychological hazard is ergonomics. When you sit, when you start working, right? If you are always at the computer, do you take enough rest? No, because most often when people are hooked on their laptops, on their computers, they will continue. And there are also people who don't stop for breaks. They don't go to the washroom if they need to. Okay, they can, skip their meals. They don't drink enough water. They don't stretch themselves, right? So that is why all this is in your control. If you think you need to go to the washroom, you go to the washroom. You're hungry, you need to drink water, you go and drink water. But we are so obsessed working that we neglect all this. Okay? Okay. Another thing that you need to understand, how is your conversation, right? How is your conversation? with yourself first. The most important individual is you. Your conversation with yourself, conversation with your co-workers, superior, right? And this conversation plays a major role, because if you think you have a toxic superior or your boss or higher management, which always, most often people say that, right? True, not true, again, it's subjective, right? How you view at it. And when you have courageous conversation, it's about listening. Not listen because you feel you just want to listen or hear certain things that you want to hear, but listen from using your eyes, okay? The non-verbal cues. Listening from your heart. Understand from the perspective of the other individual, okay? Listening at the whole context instead of just want to listen because I'm here to listen. All right? So we need to address this. Okay. So risk assessment, there are many ways you want to look into psychological hazard. On and off, every 3 months, have assessment. Ask your employees, does this policy work? Does this process work? Okay. What makes me happy? What can be improvised? What we can do differently? And all these answers or all this reply, you need to have it, with open mind. Because only by having growth mindset, by only having an open mind, you are able to see the details, right? Because if you don't see those details and you just look at bigger picture, then there's a lot of information that can just be missed out. All right. Have focus group. I know some organizations have what you call that? Town hall. But what do you do after that? Right? So use those information to make it better. Okay, conduct focus group. Have a specific topic, conduct a focus group. Interviews, surveys, review, records. So these are part of addressing psychological issues at workplace. Okay. Okay, what are the common reaction? Okay, I'm gonna share a little bit. If an individual have an injury, okay, or they have trauma during working, trauma at workplace, okay, their immediate reaction, the person or anyone nearby surrounding that gone through the same trauma or environment, toxic environment, they will feel panic, they will feel restless, withdrawal, okay, denial. Okay, this is the first immediate reaction within 24 hours. Okay, if you have an accident at workplace, loss of limb, you're unable to see, you are not only addressing the employee, you are also addressing the employee family. And the immediate reaction is this. Okay, they are shocked, disbelieved, they are stunned. And if, I'm sure all of you are IOSH practitioner here, if you don't use psychological, you don't address the mental and emotional, all right? Okay, if they don't get help immediately, this is the negative reaction. The negative reaction is unable to sleep, worried, angry, guilt. Okay, and how they cope? They'll be so into self-focus, substance abuse, like I said, okay? They have inability to seek help. So this is why every IOSH practitioner needs to be aware and needs to have at least basic skill in terms of psychological first aid, all right? Or understand a little bit about mental and emotional, okay? But if the victim Okay, the employee who have cannot see or lost the limbs and all that, get good support, mental and emotional support. This will be the positive reaction. You are actually helping them. Okay, you are actually helping them, okay, to self-regulate, to be independent, okay, to look into the future positively. And they have a better coping skill. They know that they need to ask for help. They can express their emotion, because, you know, during the first few days and weeks when they are being, you know, taken care of, they are able to express freely. Okay, they are aware of their surrounding and also themselves. So that is why every employee, if you are able, or if you are IOSH practitioner, or everyone, okay, have at least some understanding in terms of mental and emotional well-being, which lead to psychological well-being at workplace. Okay. Another thing that I would like to address is that sometimes, right, we are so attached to our work that we are unable to recognize that it's time to detach. Okay, I'll share this one. Okay, so there's a client come and see me. Okay, so she has been working in this organization for 28 years. The same organization, very loyal, everything for the organization. No MC. Okay, even though she's sick, she'll take medicine. You know, she said, I need to go to office. She didn't take any annual leave, no emergency leave, nothing. She is a workaholic. And she feels that the company needs me. I need to go, I need to go, I need to go. All right. She is so attached with her work that she doesn't know how to detach. Okay. So there's one day, there's a lot of incident where she feel her tummy very pain, but she didn't do anything. All right. And she have her menses, which is, you know, her period is overflow and it's very painful, but she didn't see because she just take painkiller and it's done. But there's one day where she felt that it's, you know, unbearable. So she went and saw the doctor, and when they do the scan, when the gynae scan, she have a lot of fibroids in her tummy, in her, you know, productive system, right, in her uterus. So immediately she have to do an operation because it will harm her later on. Okay, so the hospital gave her 3 months MC to recover, because it's quite a major surgery where she have to remove the whole uterus. All right. After a month, her boss calls her and tell, I hope you are feeling better. I hope you are okay. So, you know, we miss you at work. We want you to be, you know, when can you come to office? And you know what she do? Why don't you guys guess? What you think her action? Come on. Anyone?
She back to work?
I can come to work.
Yes, she went back to work. You know, she's supposed to have 3 months leave, but just because that one call, okay, say that we miss you, we want you back, when can you come? Immediately she went. Okay. So that is why it's dangerous. The law has stated you have your annual leave. You can utilize your MC. You have your holidays. Utilize for your well-being. Okay. Learn how to detach from your work. I know sometimes you have, you know, projects, you have timeline. Perfect. Okay. You need to address that, but you need to know when to detach. You need to know self-care. You need to know when to address yourself. Okay. She went back to work. After a few months, back to hospital, because the internal not fully recovered. External, you can see the stitches are all dry up and all that, but internal is not fully recovered, and then she went back. So can you see, okay, how bad it is if you don't detach from your work. You do what you're supposed to do. Okay, sometimes you need to do extra. It's okay, because that is for your own growth, for your own learning, to improve your skill. But learn when to detach. All right. Okay. All right. So part of risk control, okay, what can you do is to have job rotation. Have clear expectation when it comes to psychological health and safety. Okay. Know what you can do, know what you cannot do. What is within your boundaries and what is not within your boundaries, is out of your boundaries. Make that clear. All right. Because the moment you cross the boundaries, you feel that you are needed, but actually there's, we call it that you have some underlying issues and you need to talk to someone to look at it, okay, to take it all out. All right. Okay. Ensure you have the right tool, the right training, the right supervision, okay, the right information and knowledge. Okay. If you don't know anything, please ask. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Don't think that if I ask question, my superior or my colleague thinks that I'm not competent enough. No. We need to ask question because no one can read your mind. Okay. All right. So when we talk about physical, use your protective gear. How do you sit? Where can you get referral if you think that you need to talk to someone or you need extra medical care? All these are important, and these are part of psychological safety at workplace. All right. So intervention. I'm just going to go to the last part. Okay. All of you are IOSH practitioner. Okay. When someone when someone go through any issues at workplace, when it relates to mental and emotional, it can be your colleague or someone, in your organization, you might not know them, right? And you observe something is not right with that person. Introduce yourself, but most importantly, safety first, yeah? If that person, you feel they are unstable and they are moving around, they hold, any knife or any sharp object, don't go near. Okay, because your safety is important. Okay. Ask those, people who you feel they display certain symptoms, ask where they are, if anyone with them, listen to them, listen how they breathe, listen to their tone of voice. Okay. Give the sense of security, empowerment. Okay. Assurance, if they are in a dangerous place, bring them to safety. So these are part of, some of the tips that you can use if you are going through some issues or you see someone who displays certain issues. Yeah, this is how. And then another thing that you can do is always be aware of your surrounding, your environment, and people. Listen. Okay, we need to use our 5 senses. Listen to the needs. Listen, what you call that? What security they need. Maybe sometimes they just need someone to listen. Okay, so don't be judgmental. Okay, don't jump into conclusion and say, you need this, you need that. No, the best thing is to listen, connect to people. All right. While you are doing all this, please make sure safety comes first. All right. And this is how we need to address when we talk about psychological at workplace. Okay. Because we are always exposed to hazard. Okay. External hazard we cannot control, but we can minimize the risk. But internal hazard, okay, internal hazard we can control. And when I say about internal hazard, how negative is your mind? Okay, reduce that, remove that if you can. Okay, acknowledge it so that you are able to perform better. Acknowledge it so that you are able to be better at anything that you do. And if you feel that, okay, if you feel that you are unable to cope, you feel that you have no one to, talk to, there's always professional who is out there, in any organization or in the government agencies, in your organization, right? In your country, government agency, there will be a hotline that you can call to vent out or to just voice out any of your concerns without being judged. All right. So with this, any questions? Hello.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Sangeeta. I think most of the questions from the chat box you already answered.
Oh, okay.
And and still, let me see if we have any question from the chat box. So Melissa Enk initially asked any tips for mindfulness.
Any tips of mindfulness? Okay. So okay, when we talk about mindfulness, there's so many ways you can do. Okay, let me do this with all of you. Okay, we're gonna use deep breathing. Okay, let all of us, if you can, sit up straight. Okay, sit up straight, relax your shoulder. Okay, because your shoulder is the number one. When you are tense, it will not be up, but you can feel the heaviness on your shoulder. Yeah, so just relax, ground yourself. Okay, I want you to take 5 deep breaths in, hold for 2, and then 7 slowly exhale. Can we do that? Okay. Okay, let's do this together. All right. 5 inhale, 2 hold, 7 exhale. Okay, let's do this now. When you are ready, just give me a thumbs up. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Another
thanks.
mindful activity that I can show you is to use your 5 senses. Okay. So what you can do now is I'm going to ask you a question and you're going to do it. All right. Okay. Acknowledge 5 things you can see around you. So look at 5 things that you can see around you right now. Okay. 4 things you can touch around you. Good. 3 things you can hear around you. Good. 2 things you can smell around you. Good. And 1 thing you can taste. Okay. It doesn't need to take 1 minute, just a few seconds to help you to ground. So this is part of being mindful of your here and now moment. All right.
Thanks, Dr. Sangeeta. So another question from the Nurul is, what's your thoughts on quiet quitting?
What's your thought on quiet quitting? Okay,
Yes.
can you elaborate more when you say quiet quitting, Nurul? It's just like quit and leave the job,
Quite
or what's
Nurul.
the, yeah.
Are you there, Nurul? Okay, no problem. We can take that question later after getting more clarity on it.
Okay.
So
Yes.
another question, I think sharing this presentation. So it's already communicated that this webinar will be available on IOSH website. Then next question is from the Pooja Patel. How can we deal with a biased boss?
Okay. Okay. When we talk, okay, you see, your boss also have his or her own story, have his or own, stereotype. All right. So we cannot do anything about that. But the only thing we can do is how can we control our mind and our thoughts and our emotion, right? If your boss is being biased, there's always a meaning behind it to how this person react. It can be based on your boss's past experience or during the developmental stage in that person's life, right? How you deal is, my favorite mantra will be nothing personal. Okay, meaning no matter how biased you can be and no matter how negative you can be, I have the control of myself. And this is what is lacking, right? Most of the time, people are unable to control of themselves. They always give their control to someone else. The moment you give your control to someone else, that's where it will affect your mental, emotional. But if you have control of yourself, the power to yourself, you are able to manage your mind. Okay? To start is very difficult, but after some time, it will be easier, right? So it all starts from within.
Yeah. So
Right?
Nurul put on the chat. Thanks, Sangeeta. Nurul put on the chat. It's when someone does the job quietly and without much need to put an extra effort on the quiet quitting.
Sorry, where is it? Let me read. Someone does the job and without much needed. Okay. And without much, okay. So it's all again, what motivates you? That's important, right? If you feel that it doesn't motivate you, it doesn't bring you to a different level, then start to evaluate yourself. Why am I, reacting this way? Why am I behaving this way? All right. Majority of people, we don't evaluate ourselves. At the end of the day, why am I doing this? How can I do things differently? So maybe by evaluating yourself, okay, understand from the perspective, okay, go down to your emotion, then you will understand why are you behaving this way. Are you fed up because you are always the one that being bullied? Are you fed up because everything goes to you and you just want to let go? Is it your coping mechanism to just reject or show a tantrum? Okay, so these are something that that you need to evaluate. You cannot evaluate with a lot of people around you or a lot of noise around you. Okay, you need to evaluate when you're alone and be grounded. Grounded breathing exercise will ground you down. All right. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Sangeeta. So we will take last question.
Okay.
It's wouldn't some of the methods mentioned should be the part of HR policies and procedures?
Okay, so yes, the method you can use in your HR policies and all that, right? Again, we were not being taught about psychological, mental, emotional. We are not, like myself, right? staying in Malaysia. School don't teach me. My parents don't understand about mental emotional. There's no such thing you have mental emotional, problems, right? If you are in that illness, maybe you go to a mental institution, or in Asia context, something possess you or something, right? So we were not being taught. And during the policy, right, your bosses, your HR people, they don't have those knowledge or those skills. That is why now everyone needs to play a role. So you are able to change the policy. You can add on the policies, right? There's a lot of things that agency able to do. So that is why focus group, conduct a survey, interviews helps to improvise your policy. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta. Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta, for an informative sharing on the psychological hazard at workplace. As the executive committee member and on behalf of my executive committee, I would like to thank Dr. Sangeeta for her time and knowledge sharing with a certificate of appreciation from the IOSH Singapore branch. Sorry, I think not sure if it's visible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I received some message to me privately. Yeah. So you guys can get connected to me in LinkedIn. Yeah. My name is Sangeeta Kaur, SANGEETA Right. You can get connected to me, or you can go to my website, www.ejasia.net. Yeah. So I just put it here in the chat box and my email address. Okay. So if you need any, you want to know more, or you want to have enlightenment, or you want to share anything, so yeah, connect with me in LinkedIn, Sangeeta Kaur, my company website, and my email address is there. So thank you so much for having me here. I hope you guys have a perspective about, mental, emotional, which leads to psychological well-being at workplace. Thank you.
And a recording of this webinar will also be available at IOSH Singapore website, and do visit our website to watch our past topics and recordings. And before we sign off, may I request that you turn on your camera to take part in the photo taking session with Dr. Sangeeta. So requesting to turn your cameras for taking screenshots. Thank you.
Now I can see all the beautiful faces.
Yeah. So give me a few seconds.
I've been seeing just white name without the faces. Now the beautiful faces. Thank you so much. Familiar faces. Narendra, are you going to say 1, 2, 3?
Just hold on for a few seconds only. Let me capture the beautiful faces. Okay. Thank you. And we look forward to welcoming you again on your next IOSH Singapore webinar. Till next time, stay safe. Thank you very much.
Take care, and it starts from within, yeah, from inside of you. So all the best. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.